The game level that we are currently working on contains different surface materials that the user can actually walk on. Each time the user walks on these materials, we should hear a specific set of footsteps. In this case, there are two of them, two groups, I should say. Some footsteps for when we're walking on the stone path, and footsteps for when we're walking on the grassy path. In order to set this up, we need to first create something that is referred to as a switch container. So we're going to select the Foley Footstep Grass container, and we're going to right-click on it to create a new parent. This is going to be called a switch container. And we're going to name this switch container FLY underscore footsteps. Once we've done that, we can now take the footsteps on stone and place those in our switch container as well. Now it is time to set up the switch itself so that we can trigger the proper footsteps when we're walking on the appropriate material. We click over to the Game Syncs tab to do this, and here you'll see that we have a folder that says switches. Let's click on the icon right here that says Create New Switch Group. And we're going to call this Surfaces. The next thing we're going to do is add a series of switches. That can be done by clicking on this icon here and pressing Create New Switch. This first one is going to be called Grass. And the second one that we will create is called stone. We could also call this path, since we're actually walking on a path. Now that we have created this, we can go back to the audio tab and look at our footstep switch container. In here, we have an option that allows us to choose what switch group we would like to deal with. And in this case, we want to specifically deal with the surfaces group. When we've done that, you can see right here down at the bottom that there's two different switches themselves, and we need to associate each one of these switches with one of our containers. So we're going to start by choosing the grass step and dragging it over and placing it on our grass step. Now, yeah, there was a slight redrawing error here that I have to move to a different window in order to fix. Okay, now that we've taken care of that, we can take care of the footstep stone and drag it over onto the path. So now we have two different switches that have objects assigned to them. If we click back over on the Foley Footsteps switch container and press play, we're hearing currently the grass, and that's just because it's in alphabetical order. I want to make a very specific footstep group a default set. So we click on the double arrows here, and we're going to choose path. This is going to make it so that the first footsteps that are played in the game are the path footsteps, because our character is going to start on the path. And if we press play, once again, we don't hear anything yet because we haven't set this up properly. And if I look over at my transport control, I can click on, instead of states, I can click on switches. And this allows me to choose what surface I want to hear at any given point in time. Now we hear our path footsteps. And if I click on grass, I can now hear my grass footsteps.